Back for another edition of Hot or Not with Frankie Corrado and Brian Hayes. All right, gentlemen, free agent frenzy right around the corner. So it's time to go shopping. That's right. Welcome to SC, as in shopping center, not sports center. And here's how it works. One of you is going to pick the ideal free agent for a particular Canadian team, and the other is going to determine whether that pick is hot or not. Hayes, you ready to go?
Ready to go.
Let's start with the runners-up for the Stanley Cup. Who's your ideal free agent for the Edmonton Oilers?
All right, lots of options out there, and I took a lot of time to figure this out, even though they could have won a Stanley Cup, and maybe I'd have a different answer, but I'm going with Jake DeBrusk. They need help on the wing, and they need help with depth up front. I know in Edmonton they might be thinking, can you move off Nurse? What happens with Ceci? I think they're pretty set on defense. We know the goaltending situation is now solidified. Skinner's the man. That whole third line, that was great. Janmark, Henrique, Brown, they're all UFAs. Fogel's a UFA. Carrick's a UFA. They need help. DeBrusk is a local guy. He's an Edmonton guy. Jake DeBrusk, come on down. You're on your way to Edmonton.
All right, Frankie, you heard what he's got to say. Hot or not on DeBrusk landing in Edmonton?
Good player, but I'm going to say not. They need help on the back end. Here's the situation for the Edmonton Oilers. They lost Oscar Klefbom. They lost Adam Larson. They've never really been able to replace those guys. Yes, they've tried with Ceci. They brought in Ekholm, who was unbelievable for Evan Bouchard. But if you can get a significant upgrade in your top four on defense, man, that team looks a lot different. So I like Brett Pesce for the Edmonton Oilers.
All right, let's stay in Alberta. Frankie, the Flames have multiple areas to address after missing the playoffs for the second straight year. Who are you picking for the Calgary Flames?
This was a little bit of a tough one, Gino, because this team is in that murky middle ground. But I'm going to go with a centerman. I'm going to go with a Canadian centerman who loves country music, and that's going to be Matt Duchene. Yes, Matt Duchene can go somewhere on a contending team, not make a lot of money because he's still making his buyout money from the Nashville Predators. But if he wants to make a little more cash, Calgary has some room to spend. They need some help down the middle of the ice. Right now, if you look at it, they're going to go Kadri, Backlund, Zary. Like, they might need a little more of a dynamic presence down the middle of the ice. Matt Duchene loves country music, and maybe he would like Calgary.
Hazer, Duchene, and Calgary, hot or not?
Country music does not factor in here. I'm on Chandler Stevenson. I'm not when it comes to Duchene. I like it. We're in the similar thinking here, myself and Frankie. But I'm going with the Cup champ. I'm going with Chandler Stevenson. I think he can be there long term. Duchene's a guy. I'm not sure he wants to be on a losing team that long. I don't think Calgary's going to be competitive anytime soon. I'm not when it comes to Duchene. Sign me up for Chandler Stevenson. Maybe he loves country music, too.
All right, let's head to Winnipeg. The Jets failed to make it out of the first round despite finishing with 110 points during the regular season. Hayes, who's the free agent that could help Winnipeg finally get over the hump?
All right, I think they need some more help up front. Again, I think they could use some offense. I think they could use some championship pedigree and some Conn Smythe pedigree. Jonathan Marchessault, come on down. You're on your way to Winnipeg. Long term, you lock in with Scheifele, you lock in with Morrissey, you lock in with Hellebuck, you add Marchessault to that. I think Kyle Connor's a part of that program as well. I love that fit for Marchessault. I think he can play in your top six for the next 3 or 4 years. Championship pedigree, Conn Smythe pedigree. I don't know if I already said that, Gino.
You did mention that.
I'm on Marchessault going to Winnipeg.
Frankie, hot or not on Marchessault for the Jets?
Great player. I love Jonathan Marchessault, but I'm going to say not. I think the Winnipeg Jets have a need on the back end, and that need is a little more size. There's a realistic chance that they're going to lose Brendan Dillon. And you take a look at their top four already. It features players like Morrissey, DeMello, Neil Pionk. They need some size on that back end. How about Nikita Zadorov? He was a beast in the playoffs for the Vancouver Canucks. Maybe he can go to Winnipeg and add a little more pushback on that blue line.
All right, then, let's go to Vancouver. The Canucks were just a win away from advancing to the Western Conference Final. Frankie, who's the ideal pairing for Vancouver?
Jake Guentzel. Spend the money. Go get that scoring winger. I am so tired of watching Elias Pettersson have to play with wingers that aren't exactly first-line caliber. Jake Guentzel is familiar with the management staff, the coaching staff, and he fits such a need there as far as needing a scoring winger. He can bring out the best in Elias Pettersson. I would love to see the Vancouver Canucks go out and get Jake Guentzel.
Hayes, Guentzel is indeed a big name, no doubt about that. Are you hot or not for his fit in Vancouver?
Can I be room temperature on this? Can I be somewhere down the middle?
No, you can't be. There's no lukewarm.
Because I love that fit.
It's hot or not.
Play. All right, I'm going to say hot because I do love the idea of Agncey going there. I do, but I also believe that they could use some help on the back end. Myers is up. Zadorov, I think, is going to leave. I know they bought Hronek back. I know they have Hughes. Tanev's played there before. I think they might have been in on him in the past. I could see Tanev being a fit too. But you sold me, all right? I will go with hot on Agncey up front in Vancouver.
I wasn't trying to sell you, but I am going to encourage you to head east right now. Let's start with the Montreal Canadiens. Hayes, the best case scenario for Montreal in free agency is?
They need goal scoring. Again, I think championship pedigree. There's a theme here when I'm shopping. I'm going with Sam Reinhart. And I know people in Montreal are going to say, wait a minute, we're already invested in Brendan Gallagher. True. And they've got a lot of money on the right side. Cole Caulfield they're committed to. They're waiting for Slavkovsky playing on the left side. They have money on the wing, but they need offense. And I don't see a centerman that really brings that offensive pop. I like Lindholm. I like Stevenson. I like, obviously, Duchesne. But I think Reinhart, a Canadian boy coming home, and he's young. He's still only in his late 20s. He's 28. This team is not quite ready to pounce in Montreal, but I think they feel like they can take a big step next year. And a 2 or 3 year down the road, like 2 or 3 years down the road, that's when it's time to really go. And Sam Reinhart is a perfect fit, one of the best goal scorers in the game, instant offensive impact.
Frankie, a 57 goal scorer ended up in Montreal, hot or not?
I'm hot on that, Gino. And that power play last year for Montreal, it struggled a lot. Sam Reinhart is so good in that bumper position. It is a great fit. And maybe if you were looking to save a couple bucks, because Sam Reinhart is going to cost a lot, maybe Jonathan Marchessault, who's from Quebec, is a good fit for the Montreal Canadiens. I agree with Brian. A scoring winger is not going to be a bad thing for the Canadiens going forward.
You forgot to mention Conn Smythe. Hayes made that point. Ottawa missed the playoffs for the 7th straight year, so a lot to sort out for the Ottawa Senators at this point. Frankie, who's your free agent pick for the Ottawa Senators?
Chris Tanev, come on down. The Ottawa Senators need help on the blue line. They need someone who I would call a cooler, who can go out there when maybe the game is getting away from them. There's a lot of young players there and just cool things off. And that's what Chris Tanev has done so well for such a long period of time. Whether you want to pair him with Shabbat, if he's back there, if you want to pair him with Jake Sanderson, which is who I would have him play with, I think it would be a phenomenal fit for that young team who has stumbled so much to have a veteran presence, an experienced player, a cooler like Chris Tanev.
All right, Hayes, hot or not on the Sens being Tanev's 3rd Canadian team?
Scorching hot. Nashville
Scorching hot.
Yes, Frankie and I are on the same page when it comes to this scouting report and this shopping spree. I love the fit of Tanev. And you know who else will love the fit of Chris Tanev? Linus Ullmark.
Yeah.
Ullmark's there. He's going to love the idea of Tanev coming in. They need veteran help there, too. It's not just about the position. He has to play. He's a top 4 guy on the right side. They need some veteran help in Ottawa. I think they know that. I think this kills 2 birds with 1 stone if you bring in Chris Tanev.
All right, one final stone. The Toronto Maple Leafs. A final stop now. Obvious question in net. The blue line as well. So, Hayes, who's the ideal free agent for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I feel like we've mentioned this guy's name in connection with the Leafs for years. I think we all know it's defensive help that they need. I'm going with Brett Pesce. It's probably a long-term deal. It might be a little bit more expensive than people want.
It's going to cost.
Or people think, absolutely. But you need someone to pair with either Jake McCabe or Morgan Rielly. They need someone that can play in the top 4 that has playoff experience. Pesce's got a ton of it. Again, he's not over the hill. He's around 30 years old. I like the fit of Pesce and the Maple Leafs. I see them going and chasing him come free agency.
Frankie, everybody's got to say, hot or not in Pesce in Toronto?
Just like Brian said with Ottawa and Chris Tanev, I'm going to say scorching hot with Brett Pesce in Toronto. I know I said him with Edmonton, but he would fit in Toronto. Listen, Morgan Rielly has had to play with a lot of left-handed partners, and the right-handed partners that he's had to play with over the years, myself included, Gino, for a very short period of time, haven't exactly been that of elite caliber. So it's about time Morgan Rielly gets a right-handed defenseman to play with. And if it's not Brett Pesce, maybe Matt Roy of the Los Angeles Kings. If the Leafs can find a way to bring in one of those 2 guys, I think it's a phenomenal fit for Morgan Rielly. Guys who eat up minutes, can play in all situations, and you can trust them.
A lot of work for the Leafs to do. They've got 10 unrestricted free agents this offseason. Half of them are defensemen. Hot or not with Frankie Corrado and Brian Hayes.